Does that make sense? How's that for a good answer? That's great. That's great. Now, I'm going to tell you something. What I'm about to do is the toughest part of the night for me because I have a very difficult time with my memory. Don't help me unless I ask for help because this is where I like to kind of test myself. But let's try to use the different things that you folks see in your favorite chair for an experiment. Sound good? Let's try something here real quick. And like I said, the memory part is unbelievably tough for me. So this is kind of my my chance to do a little bit of my exercising. Would you do me a favor and just grab like 5 envelopes in there, and I'll get them from you in just a few moments. Oh, you know what? That's not going to be worth it. That's got a big tear in it. Start over from there. Take it easy. There we go. All right, let's see. I know that I said I would read a book, and I know for a fact you said Twitter, so we said you'd see a screen or Twitter, so you'd see, like you'd be looking at a screen, I guess. Okay, so we'll say screen. And you are going to rudely kick your wife out of a chair. And I don't remember what was yours again?
Nature.
That's right, nature. That's a really good answer. I should have remembered that one. Nature. That's a great answer. And I think it was you were next, and you said you would watch TV, right? So TV. And then that was actually one of my favorite answers that I've had in a long time. You would look at the wall. I think that's a great answer. I really do. I think that's a great answer because I spend a lot of time contemplating and doing that. And then I think when you said travel, do you want me to say travel? You want me to say travel? Okay, we'll put travel. How's that? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of those and kind of turn those face down for now. And Kathy, would you help me with something? If you would be willing to help me. I'll tell you what, I'm going to let you come up here and sit in my chair. I'll move this out of the way so you can get over there. Just jump in there real quick. Right. Here's what I'm going to do. I'll let you steal the pen, and we'll turn all of these face up again, and we'll basically start to make a list. That you're gonna get this piece. Okay. Make a big list from top to bottom, so we get all 5 of these listed. So just basically, any order? Yeah, just start and kind of go in a circle, whatever is best for you. And I'll take 5 envelopes from you. And as we do this now, you got wall first? Okay, I just want to make sure I get all the things we need here. So there's that one. And then we have travel. And then we have TV. And then we have looking at Twitter on screen, and we have nature. Now, you know what? Normally I would tape these shut, but I don't have any tape with this, so I apologize for what's about to happen here. Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
No, it's all good. Get some water.
At this point, would I notice any more discomfort in my world? Come on. Who cares? It just is what it is. So hopefully those will stick the way we need them to. Now, is there anybody out there that would like to shuffle these for me? Any volunteers to shuffle these up?
Nature boy.
Do me a favor. Mix them up. I don't even want you to be paying attention to what they are. So keep them out of your sight because I don't want you to know which is which. I don't want anybody to know anything about what's about to happen. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that list and I'm going to focus on one of these, and that's going to end up being my target item. So give me just a moment here and kind of focus on this. I'm going to circle one item here. I'm going to let you hold on to that. Now, those are mixed really well, right? Yeah. I'm going to be focusing on one specific item out of those 5. And let me ask you a question. If I could now find that item out of the 5, would that be pretty good? Yeah. Yeah, not good enough. What if I could have one of you guys find it? Would that be better? Yeah. Not even close to good enough. Let me ask you a question. Who here has a cell phone and knows somebody that we can call right now and put them on speakerphone? Seriously. If you have a cell phone and you know somebody we can call, take out your phone and let's call somebody. Whoever can get to somebody first. How's that? Yeah, try and find somebody and ask them if they can be on speakerphone with us for about a minute just to help us with a brief performance. And it'll be very, very easy, I promise. You can set that down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can set it down. You don't have to. Don't tax yourself.
Oh.
Just relax. But make sure that we're allowed to be on speakerphone. And anybody else wants to try and call somebody, go ahead.
Hey, Drake, can you wake up first of all?
I'm at the show right now.
Oh.
And
Want me to work with him?
the gentleman asked if I could call someone, and do you mind being on speakerphone for what he's going to do here? Okay.
Okay. Now, who am I speaking with?
Neil.
Neil? Hi, Neil. My name's Rick. How are you, my friend? Good. How are you? Oh, not too bad for an old man. Basically, Neil, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you some very, very simple questions. And in essence, we have 5 envelopes. I'm going to ask you when I hold an envelope in my hand if you want me to keep it or if you want me to throw it away. That's all I'm going to ask. Our job is to eliminate 4 of those envelopes as we go through them one at a time and keep just one. Now, you don't have to throw all 4 away at once. You can keep one, throw one away, go back and forth, do whatever you want. But you just wait until I say, do you want me to keep this or throw it away? And we'll keep going until one envelope is left, okay? Okay. Fantastic. I'll tell you what, take any one of the envelopes, place it right there in my hand. Now, Neil, give me just a moment here and tell me, you want me to keep this or throw it away? Keep it. Keep it? Great. We'll put it off to the side. I'll get the next envelope. Give me a moment here. You want me to keep this or throw it away? Throw it away. Fantastic. You say throw it away, it's gone. Neil, do you want me to keep this or throw it away? Throw it away. You got it, my friend. Here's the next one. You want me to keep this or throw it away? Keep it. Fantastic. We'll throw that one over there. Here's one more. Give me a moment here. You want me to keep this or throw it away? Throw it away. Fantastic. We have 2 left. We'll take those. Feel free to mix them up again. Just give them a nice mix. Doesn't matter. Give me either one. Neil, do you want me to keep this or throw it away? Throw it away. Fantastic. We're down to just one, and that's all we need. Now, Neil, I want to really thank you quite a bit for all the help you've given us this evening. You're going to get a phone call later on tonight. You're going to be told exactly what you did and how you were the star of this evening's performance. I got to tell you, I am very much indebted to you. I want to thank you quite a bit. And you're about to hear a very loud noise. That noise is going to be a load of applause, and it's all for you. Give Neil a big round of applause, everybody. Thanks, Neil. Okay, this is what we have. Ready?
Right,
Let's take a look.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
We'll put that one right here.
Yeah.
Now, for the people that are in the back, I'll tell you what, we have a dry erase board. For the people that are just a little bit farther away, do me a favor. On there, just write which one Neil decided to keep.
Okay.
Now, imagine what we just did. You folks named 5 things that you see in your homes. I've never been in your homes. You could have named anything you wanted. You could have named your Justin Bieber photo. In reality, we mixed those up. You called. Now, where is Neil right now?
He's in the Cleveland area.
He's in the Cleveland area, so he's not even local. So he's a distance away. He's a good drive away. And he had no clue we were going to call him tonight. You had no idea we were going to call him tonight. And yet, from that distance, from here to Cleveland, we're trying to control his thoughts and decisions. Now, I can't control his physical actions from here because he's not in view. I don't know what he's doing. But for some reason, Neil decided he wanted to keep TV. Now, the only way that I can prove that any of this stuff is valid in any way, shape, or form is, Kathy, you see that blue pushpin up there? That's the list that you made from reading the cards that you saw here, correct?
Yep.
I want you to do me a favor. Yep. Remove that blue pushpin and tell everybody which item is circled.
Okay. Good. Oh, TV, people.
TV is circled? Thank you so much. Make sure you tell Neil what a great job he did. Kathy, thank you so much.
Yes.
I'll take that so you don't get hurt.
Okay,
Thank you again. I appreciate it.
Oh,
Thank you so much. I have been cleaning up after that guy for years. Oh, man. Dude, there's a garbage can right here. Seriously. Oh, man. Ugh. He didn't even finish this. You know what? Here's what we'll do. We're not even going to bother bringing him back. We'll finish this ourselves. That'll be fun. I never get a chance to do that, so we'll finish that ourselves. In fact, you know what? We'll do a piece of it now, and then we'll finish it up at the end of the show and complete it then. So let's see. We'll say that this is number 1, 2, and 3. Which one do you want me to get rid of, 1, 2, or 3?
1.
Number 1? And let's see what we got there. That's a yellow poker chip. See how easy that is? Well, before we continue with any of this stuff, I would like to talk about a subject that can be somewhat controversial and also somewhat divisive at times. I would like to talk about hats. You know, I've been a hat guy for all of my life. But here's the thing. If you constantly wear a hat, people expect you to do exactly that all the time. But if you typically do not wear a hat, they expect you to never do so. I mean, literally never. If you think that opposing political viewpoints will cause a family dinner to be disrupted and fall into shambles, just go against your expected hat status next holiday season. See how quickly the worlds around you fall apart. Because here's the thing, man. Anytime anybody wears a hat, they can hear one specific comment pretty often. If you always wear a hat and your friends are accustomed to you wearing a hat and you show up sporting a new chapeau, there's a very good chance one of your friends is going to say, "Hey, nice hat." But if you never wear a hat and you show up with one on, I guarantee one of your friends is going to say, "Hey, nice hat." Same words, completely different meaning. But see, that's the thing. The smarter folks always realize that words are essential, but it's the meaning behind those words that truly is important. That's the key. To be honest with you, that's something that Lenny Bruce tried to teach us decades ago, but sadly, a lot of folks were just too stubborn to listen or learn. But with that said, I've been a hat guy all of my life. But people don't understand what I mean by that. I'm not just a hat guy physically wearing a hat. I'm also a hat guy metaphorically. Let me explain. We've all heard someone say, "Oh, she wears a lot of hats." What that means is she has a lot of responsibility. She does a lot of different jobs. She has a lot of tasks that she has to take care of. And to be honest with you, we all wear countless hats in our lives. That's just the way it is. We all wear countless hats. I mean, just to give you a very simple description of it or an example of it right now. I mean, you've already seen me wearing more than one hat tonight. You've already seen me wearing this hat, kind of like the narrator of this tale, but you also met my partner. That's a completely different hat. When we turn these lights off and we all walk out of here, we're hanging out just kind of talking and everything else, I'll be wearing a third hat. That's a totally different one. You know, I deal with a lot of different performers all the time. And when I deal with those performers, I usually have several different jobs. One of the jobs is I write for them and help them write their shows. The second job is I direct their shows very often. But the most important job, for me at least, is I help them to understand and to uncover and to develop their performance persona, the hat they're going to wear on stage. Who's their character? And it's funny, because when I ask a lot of performers, who is your character? Here's what I get from them almost all the time. Oh, I'm just me on stage. And then I ask them, I say, okay, if you say I'm just me on stage, are you the me that is going to go out and grab some beers and pizza with your good friends and have a great time and laugh like crazy tonight? Are you the me that's going to kneel down in front of your grandmother's wheelchair and have a very loving and quiet conversation one-on-one with her? Are you the me that's looking out your driver's door window and getting the ticket from the police officer who's writing you up for speeding? Are you the me that's celebrating like crazy because your favorite sports team just won a championship? Are you the me that is at work getting chewed out by your boss because something went wrong and everybody's holding you responsible? Are you the me that's in bed with your lover? Which me are you? And the point is, we all wear different hats all the time. We change our hats constantly. But see, here's the thing. I find that a lot of people let life change their hats for them. I stopped doing that years ago. I'll give you a really good example. When we talked about all of my medical crap that I deal with, that's not me. That's a guy wearing a different hat. That's a different version of Rick. He's the guy that goes to the hospitals. He's the guy that deals with the doctors. He's the guy that has to face all of that stuff. And when he leaves that hospital, takes that hat off, because that's going to clash with the everyday outfit that I'm wearing. And I don't want to have all of that misery, fear, anxiety, pain, and worry and everything else coming along with me. I don't want that to come into the rest of my life. So I proactively change that hat. You see, life isn't about what happens to us. Life is about how we react to what happens to us. That's the key. And I've always felt that the best way to react to things is to be proactive in life, because if you are proactive, then you're better positioned to be reactive when you need to be. And so I've always looked at it from the standpoint of, I don't want to sit back and let life change my hats for me, because then I'm always reacting. But I want to proactively change my hats. And sometimes I need to react, and that's fine, but I'm better positioned to do so if I'm changing that hat consistently. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not here to preach or tell anybody how to live their lives. I don't mean that at all. But I will tell you, if you're dealing with some stuff in life, if you're having situations with family, or you're having problems in a relationship, or you're having financial issues, you're having problems at work, if you knowingly and proactively change that hat as you go in and out of those situations, and you don't carry those things over from one persona to the next in your day, life can become a lot easier. Believe me, I deal with it every day with my medical stuff. And just maybe if you leave those hats at work, you leave them with the other problems, and you put on other ones, they won't clash with your everyday outfits, and you might find that things are a little bit easier to cope with. Now, Like I said, I'm not preaching or anything, just trying to say, hey, I've learned this through the years and maybe it'll help somebody. But with that said, I would like to right now put on a totally different hat. It's one I wear a lot. It's the hat of the storyteller. And I would like to tell you one final story, then we'll kind of close up some loose ends here and we'll say goodnight. But let me tell you a story about the year 2009. Because without question, 2009 was one of the most difficult years I ever had in my life. It really was. It had been a number of years at that point since I suffered all of my injuries. And even though I'd made some nice progress, in 2009, I had some really massive setbacks. Things got really, really difficult. The medical stuff got really, really tough. Because of that, I had to pull back from all of the things I was starting to work with again. That meant I had to put a lot of distance between myself and everybody else that I knew. So suddenly I was isolated again. My friendships were strained because out of sight, out of mind. I hadn't worked at that point for 13 years because of my injuries, because my doctors wouldn't allow me to work because of all the problems. Imagine not working for 13 years. And so after all of that time, the financial issues suddenly became really difficult. And anybody who ever knew me in any way, shape, or form, the friends who know me now, they know that my wife Tammy and I have an amazingly wonderful relationship. We are so close. I mean, I'll tell you the truth. After all these years, after 35 years, we still hold hands under the blankets every night and fall asleep that way. It's wonderful. But in 2009, even Tammy and I started to do this. And so it got to the point where I finally said, look, I'm going to get out of here for a few days and try to refocus a little bit. Now, we weren't breaking up. Please don't think anything like that. We certainly weren't breaking up. But I just felt that we needed a little bit of distance so we could both kind of clear our heads. And so there were 2 destinations that I had in mind, and I said, I'm going to take off for a few days and just kind of refocus a little bit. And I'm going to tell you about the trip that I took, but first, I want to clean up the stuff about Tammy because I don't like to leave that hanging. It's uncomfortable for me. When her and I finally did sit down and talk, we sat in our living room, and there wasn't a lot of eye contact. We just sat there, and there was a lot of silence, actually. And during one of those moments of silence, Tammy was just kind of looking down at the ground. And she said, I guess that with all of your medical issues getting as bad as they've gotten, I've come to terms with the fact that most likely I'm going to lose you at some point. And I guess if I started to distance myself now, maybe it wouldn't hurt so bad when that happens. I got to tell you, when she said that, we both just kind of broke down a little bit. And there may be some weird kind of logic in that attitude or in that thought process, but as soon as she said it out loud, we both realized instantly that isn't the way we wanted to live the life that we had. And we fell into one another's arms, and life has been perfect with her ever since. But before we had that conversation, about a week before, I did leave for a couple of days. And like I said, please don't think we were breaking up. We weren't. I was just kind of going to go and try and focus a little bit. And I had 2 places I was going to go. And the first place I went was New York City. I'd been to New York a lot. I used to work there a lot. And traditionally, when I would go up there for business, when I would be performing and everything, I'd have, plastic in my wallet. I'd stay at great hotels, and life was easy. I didn't want that this time around. I grabbed a wad of cash, about $800 in cash or whatever. I jammed it into my jeans pocket. I drove up to New York, and I crashed on my buddy John's futon. And then I just kind of walked around a little bit. I went down the Village. I went to some great used bookstores, went to some great music shops. And to be honest with you, I just kind of reignited my passion, and I let the city kind of beat my ass a little bit. And man, it felt so good. I started to recapture all of that feeling again. So after a couple of days, I thought, yeah, it's time to move on. So I said to John, I got up out of the futon one morning. I said, it's time for me to move on, bud. I appreciate it. Told him how much I appreciated him. I told him how much I loved him, gave him a big hug, packed up my stuff, got in the car, went and met up with another friend, had breakfast. After we had our conversation, said, I'll see you later. Jumped in the car and I started to drive north. I was headed to Bethel, New York. Now, that name probably doesn't mean anything to most folks. But to those who know what that name means, you get it. Bethel, New York is where Woodstock was held back in 1969. Woodstock is a huge thing for me, one of the most important things in my life. Now, it's not just because of the music. Yeah, I love the music. That's the music of my world. That's everything to me in a lot of ways, but that's not why Woodstock was so important. There were a lot of other festivals with the same music, but Woodstock was important for a couple of reasons, and one specifically. If you think about it, there were 500,000 people on that hillside in upstate New York in August of '69. And they dealt with the worst conditions possible. As they always say, there were shortages of food, water, and medical facilities. There were traffic jams for over 25 miles. And then there were horrendous storms. And those storms were not only terrible with the thunder, the lightning, the wind, and everything else, but people got drenched, and there was mud that was so bad, in some spaces it was up to your hip. Disaster conditions. The worst conditions you can imagine. Not just for 3 days of the festival, but it extended on both sides of the festival by a few days. And there were 500,000 people up there dealing with all of that. But there were no reports of violence. Holy shit, folks. We can't put 3 people on Facebook for 20 minutes today without them wanting to kill one another. We had 500,000 people on a hillside under disaster conditions. There was no violence. You know, us old hippies, we may be silly as can be, but I'm going to tell you something. There are a few ways that we were pretty wise, and if people would listen to us, we might be able to fix some things about this world. But that's why Woodstock has always been so important to me. And I'm going to tell you something. I've traveled all over this country. But for some reason, I'd never been to the Woodstock site. And that week was the 40th anniversary of the festival back in 2009. And I said, damn it, I am going to be at that festival site. I need to see that hillside. Drove up to Bethel. I pulled into a parking lot at what's called Bethel Woods. It's a small little building that they have there that has like a lecture room and a museum. There's an amphitheater behind that. And it's like on the back side of the hillside. And they have concerts and stuff there. It's a great facility. And after I was there and kind of got acclimated and got myself ready for it, because it was pretty emotional, I came out of Bethel Woods and I started to walk down Hurd Road. And as you're walking down Hurd Road, there's a bunch of real thick trees to your right. And as those trees started to break, I finally could see between them. And I saw that grassy hillside for the first time. And I got to tell you, I cried. It meant everything, man. Oh, my God, it meant so much to me. I continued along to the end of Hurd where it meets West Shore. I made that turn on West Shore and I started to walk down along the little wooden fence that's there. And I came down to a big gravel pit. That's where this comes from. I wear it every day. And I'm standing behind that gravel pit, and that's where the stage was in 1969. And I'm thinking about all of my heroes that were there. I'm thinking about Janis. I'm thinking about Jimmy, The Who, John Sebastian, Arlo Guthrie, Sly. Hell, I'm thinking about Michael Lang. And I got to tell you, I'm standing there and I'm just overwhelmed. And then I stopped focusing on that gravel pit and the performers. My attention went back to that hillside and that 500,000 people that were up there. And I thought, oh my God, these folks dealt with the worst conditions imaginable. They really did. They dealt with all of those terrible things. They dealt with the shortages of food, water, and medical facilities. They dealt with all the traffic jams. They dealt with the intense rain. They dealt with that horrible mud. There were 2 types of people at Woodstock. The first group, they succumbed to all of those elements. Those people whined, bitched, complained, moaned, yelled, screamed. They needed to get out of there. They absolutely were beaten down by what was happening around them. But then there was a second group of people at Woodstock. They dealt with the same disasters. They dealt with the same shortages. They dealt with the same storms. They dealt with the same mud. But those people didn't succumb to it. Instead, they said, it's just mud. Let's play in it. And they did. They danced in it. They swam in it. They slid in it. They celebrated life in it. And I'm standing there thinking about all the problems that Tammy and I are facing. And I went, oh my God, it's just mud. It's just fucking mud. Oh my God. I grabbed my phone. I called home. I said, honey, I figured it out. It's just fucking mud, honey. It's just fucking mud. She had no idea what I was talking about. She thought I got a hold of some of the brown acid that they're always talking about. I said, look, this is as close as I've ever had to a perfect day in my life. The only way it's going to be a perfect day is if I see you by midnight. I jumped in my car and I drove as fast as I could from upstate New York to my home just outside of Pittsburgh. I arrived with 15 minutes to spare. I got to tell you, when I pulled into the driveway, Tammy saw me coming. She turned on the light. I ran up the steps. She opened the door. I threw my arms around her. I said, honey, it's just fucking mud. I explained what that meant. I told her that all of the problems we were facing, all the things that were causing us grief, all the things that were really, really upsetting us, were just mud. Let's dance around them. Let's celebrate life in them. Let's just realize it's nothing more than mud. And all of a sudden, the two of us just had all of our cares vanish. Life was suddenly perfect again. No matter what would happen to us, nothing would ever get us down because we realized it's just mud. A few nights later, we were walking through a bookstore, and completely unexpected, we're walking through, and I suffered a stroke. You know, they took me off the life flight helicopter, and I'm flat on my back. And there's all these medical people around, and they're running me down this hallway. It's kind of darkened. And there's a nurse that's up here on my right side, and she's kind of holding the IV bag with one hand that's connected to my arm. And with her other hand, she's squeezing my hand. I can't feel any of that. And she looked down and she said, "Ooh, honey, how do you feel?" And I looked up and I smiled, and I meant every word when I said, "Oh, I'm fine. It's just mud." Now, it's time for us to tie up some loose ends, and then we'll say goodnight. I know that my partner started this. We'll finish this up. Now, the one thing I don't know, if he did his job right, one of you is holding a poker chip. Is someone here holding a poker chip? We haven't met. What's your name?
Kathy.
Kathy. Hi, I'm Rick. Nice to meet you, Kathy. So you made a decision for him earlier, correct?
Uh-huh.
And if he did everything he was supposed to, that decision, if everything was right, there was no reward, but if there was something wrong, there were some consequences. Let's kind of flip that this time. Okay? What I'd like to do is I want to, we will eliminate one more of these. So we'll say this is number 1, number 2. Which one would you like to get rid of?
Number 1.
Number 1? So the last one that we're going to get rid of then is a red poker chip. And that means that for whatever reason, this is the one that you've decided to keep. And I'm not sure who else was helping you with this, but this is the one you've decided to keep. We've already gotten rid of a green, a black, a yellow, and a red. And so let's see what we have here then. Then the poker chip that you get, Kathy, is blue. So I'm guessing that this matches your chip. I know he's rusty, but he's not that rusty. Do me a favor. Join me up here real quick. Would you mind? I'll let you have this one too.
Okay.
There is a little card up here because
Okay.
I do want to thank you for everything that you've put up with tonight. And so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to make you read this or anything else. I'll read it out loud. You can look over my shoulder, make sure I'm reading it correctly. Okay? There's just a little thank you card here. And, oh, there's actually an envelope. I'll let you hold on to that envelope. And it says real big. It says thank you.
Yeah.
And it says, I just wanted to show my gratitude for your help this evening. You're now holding 2 poker chips, your original red chip and your newly acquired blue chip. Oh, okay. Then I guess we were successful. It says, following your successful choice, you've earned the contents of the small envelope found in this card. And it says, keep the change, and it's signed Rick. Now, I don't know if that's mine or his signature at this point. I lose track. But you can have this as well. I'll let you
Okay.
take this. But
Okay.
before you take this, go ahead and open that up. Let's see what you have,
All right.
and tell everybody what's in there.
All right, sir. All right. Ooh. Wait. It's money.
Yes, it is. And what is that?
That's a $50 bill.
That's a $50 bill. And I want to thank you for everything that you did this evening. You have been the star of our show, and thank you so much, Kathy. Please have a seat. And this is yours as well. Thank you so much. Now, let me say, every time I see money, I have to admit, I think one specific thing, and that is there are many different types of currency all around the globe. They vary from country to country, from culture to culture, but there's only one universal currency. And each one of us is given a certain allotment. And once we either spend or lose that allotment, we can never replenish our accounts. And that currency is time. And I really want to thank you folks for sharing some of your currency and spending it on me this evening. That means the world to me. Now, with that said, it's time for us to say goodnight. And there's not a lot that I have left to say because I've already talked way too much for you guys. So I guess if there's just one final thing that I could tell any of you, just keep remembering, it's just mud. Peace, my friends.